Viewers, Namaste. Today is a very auspicious day, and I am honored and privileged to welcome Dr. Professor Shashi Prabha Kumarji. Uh, I think she doesn't need any introduction as such, but still, as a formality or a format of the program, let me introduce her. Dr. Shashi Prabha ji is a PhD in Sanskrit, and her other calibers are like she is a dean currently of Sri Shankaracharya Sanskrit Mahavidyalaya, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, New Delhi, and a former chancellor of Sanchi University, former chairperson of Sanskrit Studies JNU New Delhi, and a former chairman of Delhi Sanskrit Academy. And likewise, there are more things which I can definitely talk about here, but eventually we'll speak about it. Today, the topic that we have selected is a ancient tradition and culture of our nation. Bharat is Vaisheshik Gnan, philosophy in Indian context. Now, what is it all about, and how many of us know this term to begin with, and what are the details? All that we'll know from Doctor. She has specialized in this particular topic, and she has been in a dignitaries diaspora on various platforms and various uh, universities and across the nation outside as well. So it is my honor and privilege to welcome her and talk to her on this particular topic. So I have developed an informal relationship with her. I call her Ma, and that's what I'm going to address her during this during this program as well. So formally बहुत बहुत स्वागत शशि प्रभा माँ आपका दिवा के कार्यक्रम में आपके समय के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
तो इससे पहले कि आप मुझसे प्रश्न पूछें, चलिए पहले वंदना कर लें, जो कि मेरी प्रवृत्ति है। तो वैदिक वंदना मैं करना चाहूंगी।
जरूर।
ओ इड़ा सरस्वती मही तिस्रो देवीर्मयो भुवः बर्हि सीदन्तु वस्त्रिधः ओम शांति शांति शांति। इड़ा, सरस्वती और मही, ये तीनों देवियां सदा हमारे हृदयासनों पर विराजमान रहें।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और इसी शुभ शुरुआत के साथ हम प्रश्नों का सिलसिला शुरू करते हैं। हम दोनों भाषाओं का मिक्स वार्तालाप रखेंगे, इंग्लिश और हिंदी, सो सभी के समझ में आए, ऐसा उसके पीछे उद्देश्य। So my first question is, what is Vaisheshik system in Indian philosophy?
Ketaki ji, Vaisheshika is a very significant school of Indian philosophy. In the tradition of Indian philosophy, we classify in two groups. Some of the schools we keep under Astika, and some of the schools we call Nastika. Under Astika group of schools in Indian philosophical tradition, we have 6 systems, that is Nyaya and Vaisheshika, Sankhya and Yoga, Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta. So Vaisheshika is a very important school under Astika groups of Indian philosophy. The Nastika schools are Charvaka, Jaina and Buddhist school. But the problem is that Vaisheshika has not been very popular as it should have been. So its contribution, as we shall discuss during the course of our talk, you will be noting that it has contributed a lot, and it still can contribute enormously to the thought tradition of India.
Sure. So my first doubt is why is the name Vaisheshika? According to my dictionary or my information, Vaisheshik is specific. So is it that or something else?
Yeah, there are many derivations of the term Vaisheshika, and it has been interpreted in many ways. So one of them is the understanding that you have developed, that this focuses on the specificities of world and its entities.
Mhm.
There are schools of thought in Indian philosophy as well as in Western philosophy which focus on the inherent unity of the world. But Vaisheshika is a school which is realistic and pluralistic school. It proposes many entities in the world, and each entity, according to it, is specific in its own way. It has its distinct identity or particularity. That is what is known as Vishesha. So, this is the general interpretation of Vaisheshika. But the philosophical interpretation and the most popular interpretation is that Vaisheshika has propounded a category named Vishesha. So it is on that particular category of Vishesha that the nomenclature of this school of thought is based.
Based
So
on,
that is
okay.
why Vishesha Padartham Adhikritya Kritam Darshanam Vaisheshika Darshanam.
Wonderful.
So, जी
Yes.
बिकॉज दे propound एक विशेष नाम का पदार्थ मानते हैं ये,
जी, जी.
जो 7 पदार्थ की आगे हम चर्चा करेंगे जो कि वैशेषिक दर्शन की मान्यता है। उन 7 में से सबसे प्रमुख जो इनका विशेष पदार्थ है, 5वां पदार्थ, उसके कारण इस दर्शन का नाम विशेष पदार्थ।
ओके जी। जब मैंने आपसे बात करने की एक प्लानिंग शुरू किया तो आई वाज डूइंग माय होमवर्क एंड इन दैट आई फाउंड दैट there is another term called Nyaya and Vaisheshika. So what is the difference between Nyaya and Vaisheshika? I read, but obviously it was not easy for me to understand. So please elaborate.
Actually, as I mentioned earlier, that there are 6 Astika schools. So Nyaya is another school of thought, and Vaisheshika is a different, independent school of thought. Both of them grew independently. Vaisheshika was different, Nyaya was different. Nyaya was propounded by sage Gautama, Maharshi Gautama, and Vaisheshika was propounded by sage Kanada, Maharshi Kanada, who was a great scientist of those times, ancient times. So, the Nyaya and Vaisheshika, they are 2 systems, different systems, but under the 6 schools, there are some similarities due to which 2 schools can be grouped together as sister schools, Samana Tantra Darshana. So, Nyaya and Vaisheshika, in the course of time, they became complementary to each other, they became common, and that is how Nyaya Vaisheshika, this common term, was used for both these schools. Similarly, Sankhya and Yoga, they are different schools, but Sankhya Yoga came to be known as sister schools. Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa, they are different schools, and they propound different theories. But in the school of thought, we can also put them in a group, in a twin group, that is Mimamsa and Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. So out of these 6 schools, we can make 3 groups like Nyaya Vaisheshika, Sankhya Yoga, Mimamsa Vedanta. So all these are sister schools or Samana Tantra schools.
Yes.
So Nyaya, because it propounds and it focuses mainly on the pramanas, while the Vaisheshika focuses mainly on the prameyas. Nyaya deals with the epistemology, and Vaisheshika deals with the metaphysics. So during the course of development, they became complementary. एक दूसरे का वो जो कमी थी, वैशेषिक की प्रमाण मीमांसा हम कह सकते हैं उतनी सशक्त नहीं थी जितनी न्याय की, और न्याय की प्रमेय मीमांसा उतनी सशक्त नहीं थी जितनी वैशेषिक की। तो उन्होंने परस्पर मिलकर एक बहुत ही समृद्ध विचारधारा को विकसित कर लिया।
बिल्कुल। Saying that such a rich heritage and tradition and such a deep knowledge, but during the course of time, whatever is the reason, the invaders or the loss of touch with the culture, we have completely forgotten and lost the enormous knowledge that we have in our Sanskriti. Now, my other question is, if somebody develops an interest and wants to study about it, what are the primary or secondary sources of material wherein he or she can get a basic study material?
Yeah, that's a very, very foundational question and very good question, because if you want to be initiated into a school of philosophy, you should know what are the primary sources. So, for all the six Astika schools of Indian philosophy, as I said earlier, all the six were propounded by rishis and maharshis. Who's a rishi? Rishi is a tattva drashta. He who has realized, who has perceived the truth. Rishir darshanat. Rishi is not an ordinary intellectual of modern times who's very well read, or he has swallowed many, many books and articles. He has read many books. But no, Rishi is one who has himself realized, absorbed the truth, the ultimate truth. Accordingly, Nyaya was propounded by Maharshi Gautama, and Kanada was the propounder of Vaisheshika. And all these rishis, first text that they gave of their discourses, that is known as Sutra.
Mhm.
Sutra is a formula.
Mm.
All the philosophical texts, original philosophical texts in India are written in the Shaili in the form of Sutra. Sutra is a very, very precise statement, because the rishis do not talk much. They do not lecture like me. They just give a very, very brief, cryptic statement, and the disciples are very well equipped. They can understand, or they can go to the commentators. So, the first text that one should start with is the Vaisheshika Sutras of Kanada. Likewise, Nyaya Sutras of Maharshi Gautama, Sankhya Sutras of Maharshi Kapila, Yoga Sutras of Maharshi Patanjali, Mimamsa Sutras of Maharshi Jaimini, and Vedanta Sutras by Maharshi Badarayana Vyasa. So, Vaisheshika Sutras by Kanada are the first text, but not everybody can understand. As I said, they are very brief and cryptic, so it's very difficult to understand the concept. Therefore, all these sutras, we have a long tradition of commentaries and interpretations. And
Okay.
you see, across India,
Hmm.
we do not know about their personal details, where Kanada was born, when was he born, and how did he write the text. We do not know any personal details, because they were not interested in propagating their own introduction. They were propagating a viewpoint, a drishti,
Knowledge.
a darshana. So after the sutra, we have bhashya, that is written by Prashasta Pada. But there is a gap of almost 1000 years between Kanada and Prashastapada. So Prashastapada wrote a commentary which is known as Padartha Dharma Sangraha, or Prashastapada Bhashya. After Prashastapada Bhashya, the sutras were neglected. It was such a beautiful text, very brief text, but very rich text. People started reading Prashastapada Bhashya more than they read the sutras.
Sutras.
Then there
Okay.
were three very important commentaries. There are hundreds of texts. I can go on and on. Hundreds of texts in one single school. But three commentaries I should mention on Prashastapada Bhashya. First is Sridharacharya's Nyaya Kandali. He was from Bengal, Sridharacharya. Then we have the Kirnavali by Udayanacharya, Mithila, the Mithilanchal, Bihar. And
Yeah.
the third one is Vyomavati of Vyoma Shivacharya from the south of India. So these three commentaries, coupled with the Prashastapada Bhashya and the Vaisheshika Sutras. 5 texts are the basic texts, they are the primary texts, but they are only for a serious student who wants to pursue Vaisheshika. Anybody, a layman, if he or she wants to pursue and get himself or herself introduced to Vaisheshika, he can read in Hindi. We have a very good book by Dr. Hari Mohan Jha. Dr. Hari Mohan Jha, the book is published from Bihar Hindi Granth Academy, This is Nyaya Darshana and Vaisheshika Darshana. They're two separate books. So this is a good book. The second book is, I would like to mention it, Dharmendranath Shastri, Bharatiya Darshan, Nyaya Vaisheshika. This is published from Motilal Banarsi Das, New Delhi. And in English, I can mention two books. One is The History of Indian Philosophy by Chatterjee and Datta, very basic for the beginner. And the next is The Critical Survey of Indian Philosophy by C.D. Sharma. So these are for the beginners, the secondary sources.
Right.
I think that is more than enough.
More than enough, yes. And the statement that you made in the beginning that rishis were not were not the people of lot of words, very cryptic and very concise speakers. But you also mentioned that the students they had were equally capable to grab what they are saying. Here the scene is a little different. Your students are not so smart, so you have to give little bit longer lectures and more data.
Yeah, I know. So because I am not the rishi, I am the modern teacher, so I will do that. No problem.
Sure. So, Ma, just now we discussed that there are seven padartha. Based on that, the prameya is derived and the philosophy is developed. So, what are those seven categories, if may I ask?
Yeah. Very good. The other name of Vaisheshika Shastra is Pradartha Shastra. It is also known as Padartha Shastra because Kanada in his sutras, in the fourth sutra, he mentions 6 padarthas by name. They are Dravya. If I can introduce the first and second sutra, that I will discuss later when we talk about the concept of dharma. The fourth sutra mentions the 6 padarthas. Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samanya, Vishesha, and Samavaya. These are the 6, and later on a 7th category, Abhava, was added by Udayanacharya, whose name I mentioned just now. He was a great scholar around 10th century AD. So these are the 7 padarthas. Let me repeat. Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samanya, Vishesha, Samavaya, and Abhava. So we can see that Vishesha is a padartha under the list, under the list of 7 categories, right? Dravya is the substance. First of all, when we see anything, any object, for example, I have a pen, right? This is a dravya. Anything which is visible, we can say anything which is visible is a dravya, but not necessarily visible. Just a very loose definition, because Vayu is a dravya and I cannot see. I or you cannot see Vayu. Vayu is a dravya. Dravyas are 9 in number. So a very technical definition of dravya will be anything which is the cause, which is the inherent cause of another product. That is dravya. So dravyas can be material, dravyas can be quasi-material, dravyas can be psychological, dravya can be spiritual. When I count the 9 dravyas, you can see for yourself. Which are the 9 dravyas? Prithvi, Jala, Tej, Vayu, Akasha, Kala, Disha or Dik, Atma and Man. 9 dravyas. So Prithvi, Jala, Teja, Vayu. These are the 4 material substance. Akasha, Kala and Dik are in between. They are not material but not spiritual also. So Prithvi, Jala, Teja, Vayu, 4 dravyas, a group. Akash, Kala and Dik, another group. 4 plus 3, 7. Then we have Atma, the soul or the self, and Mana, mind. So these 2 are in a different group. So we can form 3 groups under 9 dravyas. 4 material substances, 2 psychic and spiritual, Atma and Man, and in between there are 3 Akasha, Kala and Dik. So 9 dravyas are there, and Kanada talks of the atoms, the
Hmm.
paramanus of the first four dravyas,
Hmm.
Prithvi, Jala, Teja, and Vayu. If we want to break these, suppose this is a pen. This is made up of Prithvi. If
Yeah.
we have to categorize it, if we have to classify it, it will be classified under Prithvi. And if we break it into pieces, then pieces into more fine pieces, go on, we will reach at a level when we cannot see the pieces or the powder which has been made of this pen, which has been broken from the pen. Those ultimate invisible parts of this pen will be called Paramanu. Paramanu, from
Paramanu.
which there is nothing minute. परमाणु जो सबसे सूक्ष्म है उसको कहते हैं
Ji.
और
The
चार
smallest
प्रकार
particle.
के
That's what we learned in our science.
yeah so there
Yeah.
are many aspects of science in Vaisheshika.
Yes.
Many
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Correct. So what I understand is, based on this philosophy, you will analyze anything or everything that comes in front of you, using this seven padartha, and this is the philosophy based on which you will analyze or understand the knowledge. In this context, I also know that you have written a book, and what is that book focusing on? What is the vishesh of that book?
No, I can show you. This was my PhD thesis actually.
Okay.
This is the book which I wrote for my PhD.
दर्शन में पदार्थ निरूपण. Okay.
वैशेषिक दर्शन में पदार्थ निरूपण, which was published from University of Delhi in 1992. I did my PhD in 1982 and this was published in 1992. After that, this book was so popular, or you may say in under for the study of Vaisheshika, there was no such book in the field in Hindi actually. So this was very much in demand. Then the second edition of this book, this is the revised edition, Vaisheshik Darshan mein Padartha Nirupana. This was published from Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan in 2013.
I see.
So this is my PhD work in which I spent some 6 or 8 years because I had to study all the original texts which were not translated and nobody was there to teach me. I had no grounding in it, but I just bit by bit, inch by inch, I learned it. And later on, I published another book in Hindi. This is Vaisheshik Darshan Parishilana. This is also published from Delhi. In 2007, I was invited to the Oxford Center for Hindu Studies for teaching a term. And I asked them, they asked me, what should you teach? I said, either Vedic philosophy or Vaisheshika philosophy. They said, our students want to study Vaisheshika. So when I went there, the students asked me any book in English, and my books were in Hindi. So they were after me to write a book in English, which will be introductory. So this is the book which I wrote for them, Classical Vaisheshika in Indian Philosophy, which was published in 2013 from Routledge. And one more book recently came in 2019. This is the categories, creation and cognition in Vaisheshika. This is published from Springer in 2019. But for the beginner, this book, Classical Vaisheshika in Indian Philosophy, I think this is good because this is for anybody who has studied a little bit of Indian philosophy and wants to acquaint himself or herself with the theories of Vaisheshika.
Yes, and who are more comfortable in understanding English than our mother tongue Sanskrit. So this comes handy. Next, I do remember that in our just now the discussion you mentioned that Vaisheshika school of Hinduism is based on a particular technique that is called epistemology. So something I want you to tell about that.
Yeah. Actually, the Vaisheshika was popularly known as metaphysics, as I mentioned myself in my earlier
Yes.
statement.
Yes.
Nyaya was thought to be epistemology, and Vaisheshika as if it has no epistemology of its own and it depends on Nyaya. But it was not so in the beginning. In the beginning, till 10th century, they were growing as two different streams. It is only when their struggle developed with the Buddhist school that they joined together to fight the Buddhist philosophy. So, Vaisheshika has its own epistemology different from the Nyaya. And this book, as I said, the subtitle for this is On Knowing and What is to be Known.
Yes. No,
So
yes.
this is written from an epistemological format. And if I
Yeah.
give you the titles of the chapters, you will know the
Mhm.
theme of knowing in Vaisheshika. And what is that theme? That is dharma. Because in the very first sutra, Kanada says, Athato dharmam vyakhyasyaamah. Just as you mentioned in the beginning that today's topic is Vaisheshika, isn't it? You said this to the listener. Similarly, Kanada told his disciples that now we shall discuss and explain the nature of dharma. The students will ask, what is dharma? What do you mean by dharma? So the second sutra defines dharma. He says, Yato bhyudaya nishreyasa siddhi sa dharma. Dharma is that which results in abhyudaya as well as nishreyasa. Abhyudaya is worldly progress, and nishreyasa is the spiritual perfection. So, Abhyudaya and Nishreyas, materialism and spiritualism, both go hand in hand for the definition of dharma in Kanada's view. So, theme of knowing in Vaisheshika is dharma. What are the objects of knowing in dharma? They are the seven padarthas, as I mentioned. What are the methods of knowing in Vaisheshika? Kanada himself says that sadharmya and vaidharmya, similarities and dissimilarities, are the methods of knowing. If you have to know anything, how will you know? If somebody asks you, what is a pen? Somebody who has not seen a pen. So we will tell him, pen is like a pencil, because he has seen a pencil before. Those who had not seen computer earlier, if somebody asks, what is a computer like? We tell them it is like a TV screen. So something which is similar to the other. And Vaidharmya means dissimilarity. The pen is like a pencil, but it is different from the pencil, because here we have the ink, while pencil, it has the lid and it doesn't have the ink. So sadharmya and vaidharmya are the methods of knowing. What are the means of knowing? That is what epistemology talks of. According to Vaisheshika, in ancient Vaisheshika or classical Vaisheshika, there were only two means, pratyaksha and anumana, perception and inference, only two. It is later that the third means of knowing, that is the Shabda Pramana, was added. Rather, it was there in Kannada, but Kannada did not explicitly mention it. So it was added later in explicit terms that Shabda is also a Pramana in Vaisheshika. And when the Vaisheshika and Nyaya amalgamated, when they came together, the fourth Pramana, Upamana, or similarity, was also added. So initially there were two Pramanas, Pratyaksha and Anumana. Then the third was added, Shabda, or the verbal authority. Later on, when the Vaisheshikas accepted Nyaya's scheme of things and the Nyaya accepted Vaisheshika Padarthas, then there were four Pramanas, Pratyaksha, Anumana, Shabda, and Upamana. So, who is the agent of knowing? Who knows in Vaisheshika? It is the Atma. Atman is the agent. Jnanadhikaranam Atma. What is Atma according to Vaisheshika? It is that which knows, which feels, which experiences. So Gyata, Karta and Bhokta. Doer, knower and experiencer is the Atma. It is not like the Atman of Vedanta in Vaisheshika. Vaisheshika, as I mentioned, is a realist school of philosophy.
Yes.
It is a realist. So according to realism, whatever the layman feels, for Vaisheshika, an experience of you or me, that is the criterion. They will explain whatever we understand.
Yes.
Right? Then, what are the abode and faculties of knowing? Abode of knowing is this body, Sharira. If this Sharira is not there, the Atman cannot experience anything. The Atman feels, knows, and experiences only when it is embodied. So, body is very important. But only body cannot do anything. Indriyas are also helpful. So, faculties of knowing or Indriyas are the abode and faculties. What is the instrument of knowing? Can Atman and body in themselves know anything? No. Without mind, they cannot know. Manas. So Manas is the instrument of knowing. Instrument. Sadhana. Antahakarana. That is the sadhana of knowing. Instrument of knowing. And last but not the least, what is the goal of knowing? So according to Vaisheshika, as the second sutra mentioned, the definition of dharma, yataha abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhihi sa dharmaha. Nishreyasa is the ultimate goal. Nihi shreyasa. You see, Sanskrit is a beautiful language.
Yes.
You just open the word and you get the meaning. Nihi shreyasa. There are two terms, prayas and shreyas, which come in the Kathopanishad. You must have known. In Gita also these come. Prayas and shreyas are at a relative state. Where there is prayas, then the higher state will be shreyas. But shreyas is the highest state where this relativity stops, where the absolute comes, where there is no relativity, where there is no prayas, no shreyas, only the ultimate, that is nishreyasa. When there is no pain, when there is no dukkha, atyantiki dukkha nivrittihi nishreyasam. What is nishreyasa? When there is no pain at all, that is nishreyasa. So that is the ultimate goal of knowing.
Recently, I am working on a book by Swami Ranganathananji, the 13th president of Ramakrishna Ashrama, and he had given a lecture in.
What is the
United
title
States.
of the book?
Title of the book is Life Beyond Neurology.
Okay.
So he had given lectures in front of neurosurgeons, and that's where he has explained really beautifully the same concept what you are talking, and I was relating to it when you were talking just now. And he has taken a basis of Kathopanishad, and that's where he said manifestation of knowledge is. It is the surgeon is doing the surgery, but there is a lot beyond that, and that takes the whole charge control of the person, and that's where you see the miracles. And Manashashtani Indriyani, which is the powerful medium to cure the person, and all that I could immediately relate to when you were talking.
So nice.
So, Ma, one more question now that you have brought that point. According to this philosophy, what is Ishwar?
Yeah, very good question, because Indian philosophy, as I said, there are two groups, Astika and Nastika. But I didn't explain what does it mean to be an Astika.
Yes.
Usually we think that Astika is one who believes in Ishvara, right? And Nastika is one who does not believe in Ishvara. But Indian philosophy is so broad and liberal that Astika does not only mean this. It means this also, but not only this. Astika has many other meanings. One who believes in God is an Astika. One who believes in Paraloka, he is an Astika, and one who does not believe in God, who does not believe in Paraloka, but he believes in Veda, then also he is an Astika. Manu said, Nastiko Veda Nindakaha, that he who does not believe in the Vedas is a Nastika. So we have grouped these 6 schools of Indian philosophy together on this basis. All these 6 schools believe in the Vedas, in the authority of the Vedas, while the other 3, Charvaka, Jaina, and Buddhist, they do not believe in the authority of Vedas. As far as Ishvara is concerned, the earlier Vaisheshika of Kanada, the original Vaisheshika of Kanada does not mention Ishwar by name. Just as it does not mention Shabda Pramana by name, similarly, it does not mention Ishwar by name. So we can say that Kanad ने ईश्वर को नहीं माना. लेकिन बाद में Udayanacharya, when he joined the tradition, he commented upon the Sutra Bhashya, he wrote many more texts. He said and proved that Ishvara is there in Vaisheshika since the time of Kanada. He proved it. He wrote a separate book for proving the existence of God in Vaisheshika. And Udayana came as a bridge between Nyaya and Vaisheshika. So he joined both these schools, wrote a book, and that book is known as Nyaya Kusumanjali. This is about theism in Nyaya Vaisheshika. And what is the role of God according to him? There are 3 roles. First role is that Ishvara is the Karta, the creator of this world. He says nobody ever sees a product coming out of its effect, its cause, without any agent. Can you see? Have you ever seen anything getting produced without an agent or karta? Is this pen created by nobody?
Yes.
Anything we ladies work in the kitchen. Can the work be done without our moving or without our effort? Can it be done? Nothing can be done. Cooking cannot be done unless we act, unless we make effort. So Karta has to be there. So first role of Ishvara is that he is the Karta of Srishti, right? Srishti is a Karya. This world is a product, and every product requires a conscious agent. Therefore, and no ordinary person like me or you, can we create this whole universe? We cannot. So we have to assume that there is an omniscient, omnipotent agent who is nobody else than the Ishvara, right? Second role of Ishvara. Ishvara is the author of the Vedas. Vedas are eternal knowledge, but the knowledge at every beginning of creation is given to humanity by Ishvara himself. So Veda is an Ishwariya Jnana, and Ishvara. For example, you see, I am lecturing to you. I am introducing you to Vaisheshika.
Yes.
Who introduced me to Vaisheshika? I never knew anything about it. My teacher and his teacher or her teacher, they introduced that teacher to Vaisheshika. Like that, if we go on and on, we have to stop somewhere. If we do not stop anywhere, this is known as a fallacy in philosophy. इसको कहते हैं अनवस्था दोष. गुरु का गुरु, गुरु का गुरु, फिर गुरु का गुरु, तो कहीं तो रुकना पड़ेगा ना. पहला गुरु कौन था? उसको कहा ईश्वर. योग सूत्र में पतंजलि ने साफ लिखा, स पूर्वेशाम अपि गुरुहु कालेन अनवच्छेदात्. ये सूत्र है योग का कि वो ईश्वर है और वही सबका पहला गुरु है. So Ishvara has 3 roles in Vaisheshika, just like yoga. 1, he is the creator. 2, he is the author of the Vedas. 3, he is the primary teacher, the first teacher of humanity. So these are the three roles that Ishvara has to play in this world according to Vaisheshika. Right?
Yes, beautiful. हम थोड़ी सी चेष्टा करते हैं अपने, हम आपसे आयु में भी और अनुभव में भी बहुत छोटे हैं, और ज्ञान में तो बहुत ही मूढ़मती है। तो हम कुछ फ्रेंड्स मिलके गीता अभ्यास करते हैं रोज। तो उसमें एक तो दो बातें, एक हम संस्कृत सीखते हैं और दूसरा हम ध्यान धारणा और गीता का उपदेश सीखते हैं।
बहुत
और
अच्छा।
उसमें there is always a debate and discussion on every shloka. Like everything boils down to the fact that do the work detached from the worldly desires and surrender to God, and karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana and all those things. Now, we take the pride in the thing that, oh, we can chant all the shlokas very clearly and very effectively. Also, we know the meaning now because we are reading it through the books. But when it comes to the actual following of the message or implementing the ideas, there is always a duality in mind. There is always a confusion in the mind that so-called I'm the doer, and I'm the such a supreme power and such an intellectual person, but I can't take the credit. So I want to ask you from this dharma and Ishvara point of view, ki what is the ultimate goal of human life?
Ultimate goal of human life, according to Kanada, as I mentioned, is Nishreyasa. Nishreyasa is the, according to Kanada, not according to Gita, because Gita is at a different level.
Yes.
Gita is a psychological text, right?
Yes.
So Gita is dealing with the mindset of humanity. And Kanada is teaching you the physics and chemistry of the world. He is logical. He is very, very rational. And he is talking on the basis of everyday's experience. So he is a pluralist. He is not a non-dualist like Shankaracharya. He is very, very rational. Whatever we ordinary human beings feel, that is what he is trying to explain, and that too on the basis of rationalism, right? According to him, one has to have an ultimate goal. And that ultimate goal, according to him, is Nishreyasa, as I mentioned earlier, when there is no level of pain available, when there is no desire left, all the desires have eloped, all the pains have been lost. That is the ultimate state when the Atman stays in its own true nature. Atmanah Swarupena Avasthanam. And one of the Vaisheshika scholars says, Dagdha Indhana Analavat Upashamo Moksha. What is moksha or Nishreyasa? Just as the fire has extinguished. The fire has extinguished because the fuel has finished. When the fuel is finished, the fire is extinguished, then what remains? Only a calm. And that calm is known as moksha. Dagdha indhana analavat upashamo moksha. That is the ultimate goal of life. Gita, whatever Gita teaches, that is the way to moksha. Kanada is talking about the concept of moksha. Gita is talking about the way to moksha, path to moksha. And in Vaisheshika tradition also, the commentator of Kanada, I mentioned his name, Prashastapada, who has written Padartha Dharma Sangraha. He mentions that dharma, when he talks of the guna dharma, I didn't mention the list of gunas in Vaisheshika. I only mentioned 9 dravyas. But there are 24 gunas. And out of those 24 gunas, one is dharma. So when he explains dharma, dharma is the guna of Atman. And this dharma can be of 2 types, Samanya dharma and Vishesha dharma. So Samanya dharma means universal obligations of human beings. And Vishesha dharma means that particular obligations of a particular varna and ashrama. Because in Indian tradition, in Hindu tradition especially, we have this varnashrama vyavastha, isn't it?
Yes.
4 varnas and 4 ashramas. So whatever duties are mentioned for us as varnas, they are our varna dharma. Whatever duties are mentioned for ashramas are our ashrama dharma. But there are a few obligations that every human being, as an agent, as a self, as an atma, should follow. What are these? And
Yes.
if you read these, they are beautiful. That is the ethics for humanity. And that is what Gita is also teaching through a narrative.
Yes.
Dharme Shraddha. I'll just narrate each one of them and explain. सामान्य धर्म कौन कौन से हैं? धर्मे श्रद्धा, धर्म में श्रद्धा होनी चाहिए. और यहाँ धर्म का मतलब कि जो भी हमारे धर्म, हमारे दायित्व, हमारे कर्तव्य हैं. धर्म के कई मतलब होते हैं. धर्म का मतलब है कर्तव्य. अपने कर्तव्य में श्रद्धा होनी चाहिए. 2 तरह से हम कर्तव्य कर सकते हैं. एक तो बिल्कुल भावना शून्य होकर मैकेनिकल वे में हम अपनी ड्यूटी कर सकते हैं. एक हम अपनी श्रद्धा के साथ, भावना के साथ कर्तव्य कर सकते हैं. तो धर्म में श्रद्धा होना, अपने कर्म को भावपूर्वक करना, ये सब मनुष्यों का सामान्य धर्म है कि नहीं है?
बिल्कुल.
दूसरा अहिंसा, कि किसी को मन, वचन या कर्म से कष्ट न देना, ये सब मनुष्यों का सामान्य धर्म है. तीसरा उससे भी बढ़कर है, भूत हितत्वम, मनुष्यों को कष्ट न देना, अहिंसा. लेकिन भूत का अर्थ है दूसरे प्राणी, मनुष्यों के अलावा जितने हैं. इसमें पशु, पक्षी, वृक्ष, वनस्पति सब आ जाते हैं. भूत हितत्वम, सभी वस्तुओं के हित की चिंता करना, ये सामान्य धर्म है सब मनुष्यों के लिए. सत्य वचनम, सदा सच बोलना, ये मनुष्यों का सामान्य धर्म है. अस्तेयम, चोरी न करना, किसी की चीज पर अपनी गिद्ध दृष्टि न डालना, ये भी सामान्य धर्म है. ब्रह्मचर्यम, इंद्रियों पर नियंत्रण रखना, ये भी सामान्य धर्म है. अनुपधा, अनुपधा कहते हैं भावना की शुद्धि, भाव शुद्धि ही अनुपधा, अपने भावों को शुद्ध रखना चाहिए. और सारे भाव शुद्ध हो जाएं, फिर भी एक भाव ऐसा है जो फिर भी शुद्ध नहीं होता. वो कौन सा है? क्रोध. इसलिए अलग से कहा क्रोध वर्जनम. मनुष्य सब बहुत अच्छा एथिकल हो जाता है, लेकिन क्रोध पर नियंत्रण नहीं होता, तो उसको अलग से कहा क्रोध वर्जनम, क्रोध से बचना, ये भी सामान्य धर्म है. अभिषेचनम, देखिए हाइजीन, आजकल कितनी हाथ धोने की हमें वो सुनाई जा रही है, सिखाई जा रही है. प्रशस्त पाद कह रहे हैं अभिषेचनम, स्नान करना, ये भी सामान्य धर्म है. स्नान का मतलब केवल नहाना नहीं है. स्नान का मतलब कि शरीर की शुद्धि रखना, हाइजीन, ये भी एक सामान्य. सभी मनुष्यों को परस्पर एक दूसरे के प्रति शुद्ध पवित्र होना, ये अभिषेचन है. शुचि द्रव्य सेवनम, और आगे चलिए, हमारे को ये सिखाया जा रहा है आजकल बाहर से जो भी चीज लाओ उसे धो लो, सैनिटाइज कर लो. प्रशस्त पाद ने इतने 1000 साल पहले लिख दिया था शुचि द्रव्य सेवनम, पवित्र वस्तुओं का ही सेवन करना, ये भी सामान्य धर्म है. विशिष्ट देवता भक्ति, नाम नहीं लिया कौन से, क्योंकि प्रशस्त पाद खुद जो हैं वो माहेश्वर थे, शिव के भक्त थे, लेकिन उन्होंने पूरी छूट दे दी मनुष्यों. ये नहीं कहा कि सारे मनुष्य मेरे ही देवता की भक्ति करें. विशिष्ट देवता भक्ति, जो भी आपका विशिष्ट देवता है उसके प्रति भक्ति रखिए. ये श्रद्धा से अलग है. पहले कहा धर्म में श्रद्धा, कर्तव्य में, और ये विशिष्ट देवता, किसी भी देवता को मानिए, उसके प्रति भक्ति रखिए. भक्ति से क्या होता है? भक्ति से अहंकार का नाश होता है. भक्ति से हमारा मन जो है वो तरल होता है, वो द्रवित होता है. जो भक्ति नहीं करते वो हमेशा तर्क ही तर्क करते रहते हैं, लेकिन भक्ति होने से मन आर्द्र हो जाता है. अहंकार कहीं नहीं झुकता, लेकिन वो रावण भी कहीं नहीं झुकता था, आके शिव के सामने क्या करता था? क्योंकि शिव का भक्त था. तो भक्त को कहीं तो अहंकार विगलित करना पड़ता है, इसलिए भक्ति भी मानव मात्र का धर्म है. और सुनिए, उपवास, फास्टिंग, डाइटिशियन बताते हैं आजकल इंटरमिटेंट फास्टिंग इज गुड
Yes.
फॉर हेल्थ। यहाँ लिख
Yes.
रहे हैं उपवास भी मनुष्य मात्र के लिए धर्म है। उपवास के कई फायदे होंगे।
जी।
एक तो शरीर में जितने टॉक्सिन्स हैं वो सब निकल जाएंगे,
जी।
शरीर शुद्धि होगी, सात्विक बनेगा हमारा अंतःकरण। दूसरा, थोड़ा कंजम्पशन कम करेंगे तो दुनिया में गंदगी कम करेंगे। उपवास भी जरूरी है। और अंत में कहा, अंतिम धर्म सामान्य क्या है? अप्रमाद, कभी आलस्य नहीं करना। और उसकी व्याख्या क्या की श्रीधर ने? नित्य नैमित्तिका नाम कर्मणाम अवश्यम करणम। किसमें प्रमाद नहीं करना? जो डेली करने वाले रूटीन है वो, और नैमित्तिक जो विशेष अवसरों पर करने वाली हमारी ड्यूटीज हैं उनको अवश्य करना चाहिए, उसमें प्रमाद नहीं करना चाहिए। देखिए कितनी एग्जॉस्टिव लिस्ट है मानव मात्र के लिए सामान्य धर्मों की। फिर विशेष धर्म जो हैं वो थोड़े रेस्ट्रिक्टेड हैं। ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, वैश्य, शूद्र के जो धर्म हैं वर्ण धर्म हैं, और ब्रह्मचारी, गृहस्थ, वानप्रस्थ और सन्यास के जो विशेष धर्म हैं वो उनके लिए पृथक पृथक हैं। उनकी भी सूची प्रशस्त पाद ने बनाई है। तो वैश्य और कणाद ने ये सारी चीजें इतनी डिटेल में नहीं कही, लेकिन अपने सूत्रों के 6ठे अध्याय में उन्होंने इनका संकेत अवश्य किया है। तो प्रशस्त पाद ने उसी की व्याख्या की।
जी। अभी एक आई हैव अ लास्ट क्वेश्चन एंड देन वी विल ओपन फॉर क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर. Now that just now what we discussed, the basic duties of human being, universal duties according to dharma, उसी में इतना सारा कुछ कहा गया है, इसके ऊपर विशेष कुछ पढ़ने की या सोचने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. If someone follows it religiously and very sincerely, that itself is good for him to lead a good life. Having said so, now generations for some time now, people are not ready to learn about our Upanishad, Vedas, or Dharma also for that matter. Again, as you very well just now explained, Dharma doesn't mean any particular religion. Dharma means the lifestyle, the achar paddhati. So, because of the language, because Sanskrit is difficult for me to learn and understand, so I get attracted towards easy thing, convenient things, and don't want to take efforts or hardship. Now today, where do we stand in terms of Vaisheshik philosophy? What is the roadmap or what is the scene today?
You mean the study of Vaisheshika?
Study, yes, yes.
Yeah, it is. I am very glad to tell you that it is very, very popular these days.
Oh,
In the medieval times or in ancient times, it was not very popular.
yes.
Because
Yes.
it deviates from the trodden path. It had a different path where the realism and rationalism was dominant, and that is never welcome. That time Kanada was not very much respected in his own time, but later on, as you can see from whatever little I could transmit to you, that this school of thought in Indian philosophy is very, very rich, and it has contributed enormously, and nowadays it is contributing a lot to the thought tradition of the world. In this book I have a chapter, Vaisheshika Studies Across the World, where I have mentioned the work being done by 14 scholars. Some of them are in, one of the scholars is lady scholars, professor. She is in Russia, Victoria Lysenko. She has published 3 books in Russian on Vaisheshika. We had a very great scholar of Indian philosophy in Germany who later shifted to America, Wilhelm Halbfass. He wrote a book on Vaisheshika and made it very, very, his work was pioneering and people started getting attracted. But even before that, in 1918, a book was published from Holland that was The Vaisheshika System by B. Fedegan. This is a voluminous work it's not available nowadays, and it is being published in Delhi. I have edited that after 100 years by Fredegan. Then Frau Wollner, another Austrian scholar, he wrote a history of Indian philosophy in German. So one of the volumes is dedicated to Vaisheshika. It is translated in English also. In Japan, we have many scholars in Japan. And recently I came to know that one of the scholars, who's now the president of Bukoyo University in Japan, he has collected 35 manuscripts of Padartha Dharma Sangraha by Prashastapada. I mentioned the text in the commentator.
Yes.
We do not get 2 or 3 manuscripts, not more than that. But he has collected 35 manuscripts. And would you believe? He says, I studied in India and I collected all these manuscripts from India. So there are many scholars in America and other parts of the world who are studying Vaisheshika, making it popular. And for myself, I can say that Vaisheshika has given, when my supervisor, my teacher, gave me this topic for my PhD, I was not very aware because we didn't have MPhil at that time. So I didn't know what I'm supposed to do, where I am entering. But he told me that if you can complete this work will give you name and fame. And it is true. Vaisheshika, it is so rich that even I am not a scholar of Vaisheshika, I am just a student of Vaisheshika. But because there are not many scholars in this field, so as they say, nirasta padape deshe erandopi drumayate. Where there are no trees, even the tree of errand gets popularity. Similarly, because there is no scholar, not many scholars, so little study of Vaisheshika has given me rich dividends. I want to add one thing.
Sure.
In your last statement, you said Sanskrit is a difficult language.
Yes.
Sanskrit is not a difficult language, and it is so easy that anybody at any age can learn Sanskrit. And it is only because of Sanskrit that I could study these texts, more than 50 or 60 texts which were not even translated. I had never studied them. I never studied with a guru. I studied them on my own once, twice, thrice, only because of the little knowledge of Sanskrit that I had. Because I had a privilege of being a student at Gurukula in my childhood.
Yes.
So I got that grasp of Sanskrit, basic grasp. So even at this age, what we are doing at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, we are teaching Sanskrit to anyone from we get students from the age of 8 to 80. And we are nowadays, due to this pandemic, we are teaching Sanskrit online. So you can join Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, any one of you who are listening and who are keen to learn Sanskrit. Unless we learn Sanskrit, we cannot reach the depth of our Sanskriti. If you are learning Sanskrit, if you know what a word means, you can reach at the depth of that meaning, because any equivalent, any translation can never reach you to the exact meaning of that word which Sanskrit word can convey. So Sanskritihi, Sanskrit Ashrita, and all these darshanas were written not only in Sanskrit but in the sutras of Sanskrit. They are the capsules of Sanskrit. So we have to acquaint ourselves with the language. If we acquaint ourselves with the language, then only we can read the primary sources. Otherwise, what we will do, and I also want to add, you asked the current status of Vaisheshika. In the last century itself, 5 more Sanskrit commentaries, 5 new Sanskrit tikas have been written on Vaisheshika Sutras. So this shows that earlier Vedanta is a very popular system, no doubt, these days. But now Vaisheshika is gaining ground because it suits the rational mind of modern individuals. It is rational, it is realistic, it is pluralistic. Therefore, young people are getting interested in it, and
Mhm.
especially the scientific insights that are available in Vaisheshika
Yes.
regarding the paka of the atoms. How
Yes.
do atoms change their properties when heat is applied to them? This is what Kanada talks of. Paka prakriya, Pilu
Yes.
paka and Pithara paka.
Yes.
So, what is the status of numbers, numerals,
Yes.
sankhya? So, this is this topic of mathematics, but Kanada talks of sankhya as a guna. So, there are scientific insights, there are philosophical insights, and most of these are also available in this alaukika. There are two types of perception that Kanada talks, Laukika and Alaukika. He is talking of Yogaja Pratyaksha or Arsha Jnana, intuition. There are many types of things that we cannot know through perception or inference, but they are known to some people who have basic intuition. They are not very well read people like Kabir and Nanak. They were not very well read, but they had this power of intuition.
Intuition. Yes.
Kanada talks of intuition also. I think all of us should acquaint ourselves to the rich heritage of India, especially of Hinduism, that is
Definitely.
contained in these philosophical traditions. And for that, we have to study and learn Sanskrit. I'm thankful to you, thankful to those who I'm thankful to Nivedita ji who referred my name to you, thankful to you. And when you said that, can I call you Ma? I want to say that this word ma'am, M-A-M, if you just read it like a layman, what does it read? Or how do you recite it? Ma'am or ma? It is one and the same. So better to call ma than ma'am. Ma'am doesn't convey anything. It's so formal. So better if we can connect ourselves through these relations, emotional relations, which the Indians had established with anything and everything. For them, Go Mata, Ganga Mata, Dharti Mata, Saraswati Mata, Nadi Mata, everything they could connect in an emotional relation. We Hindus, we Indians are very, very blessed to have
Yes.
this bent
Yes.
of mind that
Yes.
we connect with the world as if we are related to, and we are, in fact,
Yeah. Yes.
we are related to each other. We are separate, we are independent, we are distinct according to Kanada. But
Yes.
even then, unless an atom combines with the other,
Yes.
no
Yes.
production can take place. So we have to be connected. We have to be aware of our connection with each other, and only then this study of Shastras will be fruitful. With these words, I thank you, and I want to bow down to Kannada in the words of Prashastapada. I would say, Yogachara Vibhutya Yah Toshayitva Maheshwaram. योगाचार विभूत्यायः तोषयित्वा महेश्वरं चक्रे वैशेषिकं शास्त्रं तस्मै कणभुजे नमः तस्मै कणभुजे नमः नमस्ते
I must say that it was very enriching experience, and thank you so much for your time and such detailed information and wisdom. And once again, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका.